In this week's video, we're doing something a little bit special today. We're looking at what is the ultimate spec for retro gaming. Is it the old school desktop setup, or is it a retro laptop? Find out in this video. And if that's interesting you, I'm Dave from DOSByte. I do weekly content on retro gaming and retro tech. Like and subscribe, and let's see what happens in today's video. Now, I have a retro build that I will tell you a bit about in a second, but before I talk about that, I just want to talk about my retro laptop. Now, for those of you that have seen a few videos, you may have seen I have a couple of them now, and the reason I got a retro laptop in the first place is, well, I've always liked Dell computers. I've always found them pretty good compared to other makes, and that's just my personal experience of Dells. And I just thought, I could really do with something that's a bit more portable. I used to go to my grandparents a lot when they were alive and stuff like that, and I used to think, wouldn't it be really, really good to have something that's portable, I could take with me, that's light and agile, or lighter than carrying around a whole PC, and it'd just be really cool. So I thought, why not get a Dell laptop, which really was ultimately one of the best decisions I made. And I got one online for, I think it was about £80, something like that. And I always joke with family and friends, it was one of the best £80 I ever wasted, because it really was full of value for me, because it was just, it was from I can't remember the seller's name, but basically it was an XP laptop that he reinstalled Windows 98 SE on, and he sent it with some floppy disks and stuff like that, and basically said enjoy, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I was able to play games on it like Need for Speed 2 SC, which some of you may know is a really fun arcade style racing game, and CivNet, which is Civilization 1.2, which is another game to this day I still play loads, especially last year when I was recovering from my operation, and it was very handy, and I had hours and hours of just passing the time waiting for nurses and just playing CivNet, and that was something that I still love. I've decided now it's probably one of my favourite games ever, because even now I occasionally go back to it and have a couple of campaigns and stuff like that. Now, on this journey now, as the gust of wind flies across the park, I just want to share with you what I think could be the ultimate retro setup. Now, for those of you in the Facebook group page, you've been sharing some really awesome feeds of your retro tech setups or games you'll be playing, and I just want to say, before I carry on, I just want to say a massive thank you for those of you that have bought me a coffee. That does support what we do here. I do plan to use that to repair one of my retro computers. And I just want to say to everybody watching any of my content, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. So it really has been value for money. And obviously I've played other things on it. I've tested like games and software, games I've played over the years or growing up and stuff like that. Put in the comments below then if you're getting value, like and subscribe, and write what retro setup you're using at the moment. Are you using a desktop? Are you using a laptop? I'd just be curious to hear your stories in the comments below. And just be really, really curious. So I would say personally, I'll tell you later in the video which I think is better, but I really like that. And the only reason I actually have two, to be honest with you, is it started playing up. It just had this random line that went through the screen that doesn't really probably affect the computer, but it bothered me. Yeah, and funny enough, I've had to go back to it now, because the one I replaced it with, which was pretty much exactly the same, because I thought, that's been brilliant, I'm just going to get one of the same, and the sound on it stopped working. It does have the drivers installed on it. I've tried to reinstall them, it hasn't worked, so that might be one of the computers I get repaired with the money from buying me a coffee. But I love both of them. It's just really fun, and if you have a friend round or whatever, you can have a retro party almost, and I just love retro laptops. And what do I like retro builds? Well, for a lot of us, especially if you're sort of over 30, I would say. Yeah, I would say sort of 30 and older. I'm almost 40. God, don't tell anybody. But a lot of us grew up with at least one PC desktop with CD-ROMs in them, whatever you call it, or we had a family member that had one, or a friend from school that had one, or whatever the situation was. So we're all quite familiar with them, or we had them at school and that sort of thing. And a lot of us, I know from sharing it on the Facebook page, we have very fond memories of playing games and loading up software and doing our schoolwork on them and all this sort of thing. And it did seem to really do everything. It really became like the central hub, if you like, a bit like phones are today, but you really could do everything. You could get your encyclopedias, you could do your Word on Word, or what, like your schoolwork on it, and then you would get your favourite game out, things like Age of Empire, Red Alert. For me, it was Also games, as I've said earlier, like Need for Speed and The Dig, and so many games. So they really hold this sort of space in our memory growing up of, you know, okay, some of us might have done our boring work on it, but we also got to play loads and loads of games, and that's what makes it so nostalgic, and that's why we love them now. So that's why now we're older, we either build our own or we buy new ones. And, you know, just to cut a long story short, I had, well, the family had 2 or 3 Packard Bells, which was just the computers that we got. I think we got a couple because the first one was good. And they were really cool because they came with like software and games, which introduced me to, you know, other programs and games. And again, they were just really good little computers. And I know I have heard mixed opinion within the community about them, but, you know, for us, they were all right. And the only Packard Bell I had a bit of a problem with was the one I bought myself. It's the first one I could afford with my own money. It wasn't the best. It had Windows XP on. It probably could have done with Windows 98 at the time. I didn't really know how to do that. And it was probably just a little bit not powerful enough to play the games I wanted to play at the time, because obviously by then games will get a bit more technical and graphic heavy, and the computer I got just wasn't powerful enough. So, you know, it put a bit of a tint on that, and then we went on to Dells and stuff like that. But so years later, I really liked that case. It was a really nice blue case. I've always been fond of it. And I just decided to basically take out the bits I didn't want, and we still had bits of our old Packard Bells laying about, so I took out, like for example, the hard drive of one of the ones that broke, which had Windows 98 on. I put it into mine. I changed, I think, through the drives. The sound wasn't working properly, so you may remember in the video I made ages ago, I did a little video about a USB sort of, what do you call it, like a USB dongle. We could plug in basically a speaker straight into it, and it automatically connects, and basically a plug and play, so it now allows you to have sound. So that fixed that problem, and there's a few little issues I had to sort out, but I really like using it, and I must admit I do really like my little desktop setup. I'll show you some B-roll of that, and it's just, you know, it's just a really cool computer. Really enjoyed using it, and you know, I do get it out from time to time, but the truth is, it's heavy, it's bulky, it takes time to set up. Sometimes it's easier just to go on my gaming computer and play games in a different way through Steam or browsers. And I've got to be honest, even now, it's still you know, if I had a choice, it's probably the retro laptop. Now, if you would like to support everything we do here on the channel, you can go and check out my Facebook group page, where there's over 400,000 members sharing their retro tech and games. You can like and subscribe to the channel. You can always click on the Buy Me a Coffee link, read the blog about all what's going on here on the channel, behind the scenes and video ideas and so much more. And you can follow that or buy us a coffee, and that supports everything we do here. And you can also check out affiliate links, when you click on any of the links, buy anything on Amazon, and that gives us a small commission which supports the channel. Like, subscribe, but only just watch the videos, enjoy the content, and follow us now on this journey to 10,000 subscribers. Come on, we've got this. Why? Because we're the DOSBite community. It's because they're just easy to set up. You just get them out, open them up, turn it on, and off you go. So for me personally, the ultimate retro setup is probably a retro laptop, as long as you've got one that has a spec of the games I want to play, because it's just easier and it's portable, and it just, for me, wins every time. So put in the comments below, what would be your retro ultimate setup? Obviously, if I had all the money in the world and the massive house and the rest of it, I'd probably have 3 or 4 retro computers set up and for different games and stuff like that. But for the moment, it's all about the retro laptop for me. That probably is the ultimate, because you've got that fact you can get it out at home. If you go and visit somewhere, or you're having a family day where you're all just chilling, you can take it with you, whatever. So it's just, for me, it just has lots of benefits to it, and that's why ultimately I love the retro laptop. If you're getting value from this video, like and subscribe, but don't forget to check our affiliate links, and also check out our blog where you can read what's been going on and all the stuff behind the scenes. And in a moment, I want to say thank you so much for watching, because I'm going to leave you 2 end cards that are going to bring you even more value, bring you an even better video. And ultimately, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Why? Well, the whole park now just heard, you guys rock.